This is the Afro Perspective Podcast, the home of over-opinionated young voices.
All right, this is season 2, episode 1, and this segment's called the Coconuts.
I was not expecting you to call it that.
Yeah, man, let's
Call it the coconut section. Okay, fair.
The coconut segment.
Yeah, right.
I like that. The reason why I say the coconut segment is because I was scouring through our comments.
That's what I was about to say. That
we page.
Yes.
And I've seen somebody put a very nice comment on one of our...
what kind of coconut podcast is this?
That's what they said?
I thought you said soy.
This is a coconut podcast.
So Afro Perspective Podcast
is a
coconut
podcast.
Yes.
Yeah, the Afro Perspective podcast.
Coconuts only come from tropical places.
I like that.
It had me thinking to myself, what made somebody actually sit there and think these guys sound like coconuts? Okay. Well, I'm guessing, because I don't think we look like...
What makes you look like a coconut?
It's the Brady Bunch around here, so I'm not really...
There's a whole lot of cocoa butter going on around it.
You smell good. Yes. So when I saw that and I said to you, do you think it's because of how you guys portray yourself, how we speak? Is it because we're not street? What makes someone a coconut?
Okay. I'm going to ask you the question back, but what makes someone a coconut?
Personally, I believe it was because of how we come across, how we speak, how we portray ourselves, how we articulate ourselves.
I can see you drawing for the mic. You want to go first?
Why are we coconuts?
Do you think that black people that articulate themselves...
I'm passionate about this.
The Queen's English, quote
right?
Or
tie-dye.
Well-articulate black people tend to be labelled as coconuts.
Facts.
It's disrespectful.
Facts. As a person born in this country, around my people that I grew up with, I've always been very well read. Well, as a younger person anyway. And I was always relatively well spoken compared to my peers. And you'd kind of get that they want to put you in that carton box.
Right.
Same time, I kind of feel like your speech shouldn't determine how black you are. Like, you're talking like, if I speak a certain way, that means my behaviors must also portray a certain way. Right. That also must mean that I'm not interested in all of my blackness because I speak well. And because I speak well, shouldn't take away from my blackness at all. To me, it's baffling because the way you speak and communicate with people will help you to go through life. So then why would I want to hinder myself in order to try and fit in with what you perceive what the blackness should be, when real blackness, in my opinion, has nothing to do with that. It has to do with, what you do, the decisions you make, the families you build potentially,
right?
Where you spend your money, what you teach your people and your children. Yeah. So for me personally, and I won't waffle on too much, it's a tired perception that because somebody speaks well, therefore that they are a coconut. Especially when you're looking, we're talking about our Perspective podcast, and we're talking about issues within the black community. We're only interested in issues in the black community.
Building black people.
I don't know, like it's a little wild to me, and it's always been wild to me. But I'm not necessarily the most confident person, but I've always been confident enough to be myself. So I've never hidden it. But it's caused me issues in the past. I used to get into fights all the time because I would always speak like this. I would always behave in a certain manner that, my parents taught me. And people would be like, oh, I thought he was street. Oh, but clearly he isn't because of the way that he speaks. Let me try him. And that would then lead me into altercations. And the whole narrative is wild to me.
Yeah.
So do you think that there's a correlation? People automatically make a correlation between being well-spoken and being well-educated and being well-intelligent.
Yeah, I think that's true. What does anything that have... My issue is, and it's not obviously not aimed at you, what does any of that have to do with how black you are?
I think where the black... All right, then. There's so many angles to look at this. Where the blackness is concerned, I understand in the sense of again, it goes back to one of our previous podcasts where we were talking about language, accent and identity. So to a great extent, people identify with each other through
the common tongue.
The common tongue.
Yeah.
Right. And sometimes when you're seen to deviate from what's deemed as normal, people then look at you differently. People feel like they can't identify with you because all of us, we all speak like this. We all speak, we all talk, quote unquote, black. So when you're seen to be speaking like Carlton or the butler from The Fresh Prince, it's almost as if, like, again, people still separated, the Fresh Prince from the butler.
Yes.
It's interesting because the butler's a great example. Do you really take the blackness away from the butler? Because to me, he was black. Like, the ones that he spoke well, he was supposedly from England or whatever.
Okay.
But
let's look at another racial group. Let's look at the Asians.
Right.
Would you, if you saw a guy that looked like Jackie Chan, for example, but he spoke the Queen's English, where your perception of him as an Asian is concerned, you're gonna be like, this guy doesn't sound like.
I just assume he was raised in
England.
Yeah, but obviously it's a little different for y'all. But for me, what are we the same? So all the people that I grew, we all grew up in the same place. We all grew up. I understand the identity issue because you're from Zimbabwe, so it's calm. I get it. But the people I'm talking about, we're all from the same city.
But again, all right, if you're talking about Jamaicans, for example, right, Jamaicans speak patois, and if you're found to speak proper English or whatsoever you deemed as uptown
people,
right?
Yeah.
And if you go to America and you come back talking like quote unquote called as twanging.
Okay.
So there is that element of people identify with each other through language, through accents, through tones, etc. And when that tone is lost or when that tone is not there, it creates a barrier.
Wasn't the start of this conversation about being coconuts though? Why are we?
Because they're saying you're not identifying with it because you're not speaking like
that. Right, so if you look at a lot of podcasts that are out there right now, I might be wrong because I watch a lot of them. If you watch a lot of podcasts, a lot of the mandem that are on the podcast tend to be
like the mandem. Are they mandem
from the streets, and they articulate themselves in that way.
So is that what people expect then?
It's almost like people kind of associate that with blackness, the blackness that they know, the roughness. So a guy that talks like me, that's very alpha male within a certain demographic. Right. Whereas within another demographic, it's almost like this guy sounds like a geek. So some people would take me very seriously talking and articulating myself in this way. And other people would look at me like, who's this little punk talk? Do you know what I mean?
Think you can talk, Ronnie. Yeah, but...
do you understand?
Yeah.
So it ties a lot into identity, and I don't necessarily... I mean, I'm as black as they get. And the only reason why I talk like this is because English is not my first language.
Yeah.
So I had to learn.
I guess you learned English.
In a scholarly way.
Yeah. So you learn it properly rather than the way that we learn it. I think that for someone like myself, a representative of myself, it's not necessarily that we can't code switch, because most black people I know can code switch. Yeah, you can code switch. You can switch up how you speak to different people.
Everybody's got customer services voice.
That's
that's a good point. Actually,
okay, and that's my issue. The issue comes about with the people that I was getting to occasions with don't have a customer service voice. So you're holding me accountable. Because it's not like I can't fit in there. I'm good, yeah? But you're holding me accountable for having a different variant of my voice that you can't do and don't have, and therefore are then taking something away or trying to take something away from me because you can't do that or you choose not to. But that's your prerogative. That doesn't make me any less black because I'm trying to move forward. Like, it's wild.
I think it's that when you see people doing that, I think it's people projecting. It's projecting an insecurity.
Yeah.
It's projecting the insecurity.
You want someone to run up on you in the comments, bro.
No, let's be honest. Yeah. That is just people projecting their insecurities to say, oh, you are adaptable. You can articulate yourself and you can code switch and you can fit into different scenarios and environments, whereas not everybody has the ability to do that.
You know, adaptability is intelligence, don't you?
Yeah. So it's almost like...
it is. Yeah.
So somebody that's not capable of doing that almost feels the need sometimes, or certain people almost feel the need to project that, to say, well, you know, why are you talking like this?
But do you not feel that black people...
I've had it from cousins.
But black people do that on a daily basis, though. So I would leave my house and I'm a completely different person at work than I am here.
Cold switching.
Or at home.
Cold switching again. Yeah.
It's just what black people have to do to...
But
they're a bunch of chameleons.
But not all black people.
Most.
Yeah,
sorry.
People. Yes, it's
I can't put everyone in the same category.
But I think that we need to stop doing that. Because your voice, even if you do speak the Queen's English, so forget being able to fit in the street, because that's technically a class thing. That is not a race thing. People seem to mix up the two things. Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you're poor and you speak like you come from a particular neighborhood, that has nothing to do with your blackness. Because if you're raised a white guy amongst these, the same person, they will speak just like you. Yeah, it's to do with your class. So you're trying to tell me that if I transcend classes as much as that's able to happen. And I raise children and they all go to private school and then they all speak. Are they any less black? Because they didn't struggle and they didn't speak in that certain way of fitting in the ends. That's what, again, that to me, that doesn't make any sense.
I mean, this is probably going a little bit deeper into the sort of, trying to understand the roots of it. But I actually think it's part of the chains and images of mental slavery. So if you go back to slavery, black people were not allowed to read.
Right.
And it's usually the house slaves that ended up being able to read.
You're going here for
So the field slaves...
More people are going to run up in them comments.
Go
on, land.
It's a wild analogy.
Go on, land. I'm not
a wild analogy, but certain attitudes get passed on from generation to generation. Yeah. So there's always been
from a Caribbean background.
There's always been that sort of attitude towards the well-spoken, the educated, the articulate.
You're uppity, you forgot yourself.
Yeah.
But in 2020, it don't make no sense. It don't make no sense in 2020. We're so far.
The notions.
We're so many. Like if you.
Yeah, but in 2020, you still have your house slaves. You still have your field slaves.
I know what you're saying.
Metaphorically.
I know.
I don't think because you speak well in 2020 or
2021, we forgot.
Yeah, but you still refer to as an Uncle Tom when you speak. You're well spoken. You're a coconut.
I guess the whole conversation just bruh, like I'm a grown man. Like
I get it.
So I just think we need to shut that down and actually, as a people, generally, and I hate to take responsibility as a people, but as a people, I think we need to use different
terminologies?
No, not even different terminologies, just different counters for what we look at.
Great hair.
Listen,
what
is wrong with this guy?
Do you know what? Yeah, it's probably because I've had to deal with this guy.
2020 was a rough year for everybody involved now.
2020 was a hard year.
Exactly. Come.
Anyway, but I think we need different counters for what we measure as. If you want to measure somebody's blackness, accent alone shouldn't really come into it, or how people speak, or how eloquent they are in whatever language. Because we were French and we decided to speak uppity. Like it is what it is. What you do and your actions should really determine how black you are, I guess.
Do you think that there are there's a section of black people that consciously learn to speak and they speak in a particular way to try and portray a certain image of themselves?
Yeah, that's a fact. Yeah.
And that's probably where the blurred line comes in.
Yeah. Because those people definitely exist.
Those people exist.
Yeah, those people definitely exist. But I don't think any of us are those people, especially.
There's a lot of people in the corporate world that try to present themselves in a certain way that...
But even that's code switching to a degree, isn't it?
But they try a lot harder. They're trying to get promotions.
They're not bringing their whole self to work.
It's a fact.
Do you think black people should be unapologetically... Do you think black people should be unapologetic about their tone? They should articulate themselves as black and as raw as they can, rather than code switching? Do you think code switching, as much as I understand how it helps you kick down doors and everything, do you think that you...
Okay, this is a good subject. Okay.
Like, once you get in, you should be...
I don't code switch that much at work anymore.
Okay. So you're giving them Anton now?
They pretty much
get the real Anton.
They didn't get Anton 10 years ago.
So you've matured in your...
Yeah, so you realise now you're not kissing their ass.
It's even more than that. It's just, I feel that it doesn't stop me from doing the job that I'm there to do. So therefore, why would I change myself to do that job? I'm not saying therefore if I change jobs and didn't go for an interviews that a lot of the base would be removed. Like, I'm trying to get in the door, but once I'm in the door, I may come in my afro. Like, it is what it is. I don't think that once you're in a role that you should have to code switch that much, but I do think that you should, I'll be careful what I say here, but I do think that, because again, it's not class. It's class. It's not necessarily race. If you speak in broken English, because that's what we're really talking about, that has nothing to do with your race. And that's why we really need to delete. Broken English has nothing to do with race. If you go to a poor council estate that's full of white, they will still speak broken English, just their version of whatever it's going to be. And they will also be frowned upon in the workplace. So if you're going into the workplace, speak correct, like for the country that you're in. It's as simple as that. And move forward. But I don't think you should quiet yourself down.
Charlene, do you code switch?
Yes.
She kind of just said she did. Yeah.
Yes, and you asked the question, should black people, should we stop doing that? Yes, I think so. I believe so. Because when I am at work, it's not a case of I switch up how I speak or anything. I speak less. So I am not as forthcoming as I should be. I just say less because I just think this is WPS.
Is that personality thing though?
It's a personality.
Because I don't speak less.
Terms. I speak less because
I
don't want to get into no altercations.
I absolutely hate.
What about your workplace?
No, it's when black people go to public places and tone police each other.
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay,
yeah.
That's different.
Yeah.
We're talking about work here.
Don't talk too loud.
Yeah, they're worried about you. Yeah, you setting new precedents.
They'll get us kicked out.
I'm sorry. We always.
No, that's kind of cool.
It's almost like, you know, when black people go to certain places.
Yeah.
They definitely
they didn't want you to be there in the first place.
Yeah.
You know that they wanted to be the only black person in the room. You're messing it up for me right now. And that's my point. I
hate that.
Yeah.
Sometimes black people are going to order from certain places.
So apparently that came from slavery too.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, because I've kind of made my way in the house now. I'm trying to shut that door. You're coming and messing it up for me. I've got chicken now.
Don't shame us.
Yeah. Shh, quiet. Yeah.
Just tone it down a bit.
Yeah. I don't do that.
Yeah.
They get Anton at work. It's a different time.
Are you different at work? When you're
I can imagine being quiet because it's a bit of a...
I'm quiet because if I talk...
So you're basically...
Yeah, but that's not what we're talking about. We're not talking about... We're not talking about... Because I'm loud all the time, so it's fine. What we're talking about is, do you fully code switch? Like, do you change up who you are as a person when you're at work? And I don't anymore.
I used to. Because I'm so adaptable. In fact, funny enough, they used to say, "Oh, you sound very posh on the phone."
Yeah, I've heard that.
I've heard.
You know what they're really saying, don't you?
Yeah, right, you're passing your place, bro.
Yeah.
That irritates me, to be honest. I get that a lot.
So you get it from black people, and you get it from white people as well. Literally, I've been told.
Yeah, but my issue is with black people because I've had it from friends, associates, family members.
Do you think the posh tone suits the black man?
I think any tone which is gonna make you go forward will suit you just fine. I'm not interested. Like, if you feel to be fair, you don't always get to choose the tone of your voice, for one. And if you want to showcase, we're in England, so it is English that we're talking about. There's no way around it. We're not in Lagos, Nigeria, like where you can speak whatever native language is there to the fullest. I am in English. It's the only language I know. So I'm going to speak it like an educated man in no surroundings. I go to work, for example, for me, is everybody in my workplace is educated to a degree level standard. I have no business speaking to them like I speak to the people that I grew up with in the council estate.
Do you think if you spoke to the people that you grew up in the council estate, would you consciously feel what?
See, that's a good question. I know what you're getting at, and I shouldn't, but I probably would.
How would you feel about speaking?
I don't know, because
speaking like if you went to work and you was talking,
but I was code switching then as well, though. That's my issue. Because for me, it's a wild one because I was code switching then too. Because that's not awesome.
It's just subconscious.
Yeah, it's all.
It's not hard.
It's almost too easy.
Right.
Yeah. No.
But not only that, like let's say you're in Guyana and you ring up some customer service representative and they speak a certain way, you'd probably want someone else on the phone to be like, is your manager there? Because you're a bit country right now. Or how you're speaking is not how I expect someone in that position to speak like. So it's not just a case of just because you're in England, you expect, and just because you're black, you're in England, you speak a certain way.
I'm from Zimbabwe, and in Zimbabwe, you can't get a job if you don't have a C grade in English.
See what I'm saying? So does it matter?
No, and that's my point. It really doesn't. And the educated Zimbabweans that I have met all speak great English.
Yeah. Big words.
So you can't call somebody who. So if you
can't be a coconut, basically.
No, we can't. But I'll make the most blackest people ever now. So if you're from the continent of Africa, say Zimbabwe, which is a predominantly black country, and you have black wife and black children, you shop black, and you do Saturday school at the Black Youth Centre, then you're gonna call that person a coconut because they speak the Queen's English very well. That's why. To me, we need to remove that. We need to remove that from our thought process because it doesn't make sense and it's hindering.
Okay.
Agreed.
I won't call you a coconut again.
I don't get any feelings. Nobody on the podcast is a coconut. Just because they can string a sentence together does not mean one's a coconut.
All right, Anton. Okay. 1, 2, done.